Hi, welcome to the section 12.5 notes, circles in the coordinate plane. So this is the equation of a circle right here that says that HK is the center and the radius is R, and the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So if you see where this information is coming from, again, the center of the circle is HK. So when we say that the center is HK, it's actually because of the minus in the equation. If you think of that as minus H, then the center is actually the opposite of that, which is positive H. And then if you look at the K, the equation has it as minus K, but the center is actually the opposite of that. And then in terms of, in the equation, if this is r squared, then, the radius is just what r is. Okay, so if you know what the radius of the circle is, you're going to square it to get this number in the equation. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of what we're doing here. On example 1, it says, what is the standard equation of a circle with the center 5, -2, and the radius of 7? So I like to go ahead and label the center as HK, label the radius as R, and then I think it's helpful to go ahead and write down what my actual equation is. And then basically just plug in what I know into that equation. So if I say x minus is part of the equation, and now I'm plugging h in, which is 5, squaring that, plus y minus is part of the equation, and the k is -2 that I'm plugging in, and squaring that, and then my radius is 7, so I need to square that. So then I generally do that line, and then I clean it up if I need to. X minus 5 quantity squared plus y. Now the minus minus I know is a plus, and 7 squared I know is 49. So I'm just getting that cleaned up to write in my final answer. And again, if I want to kind of work backwards to see what the center is, again, if I see that minus 5 in my equation, the opposite of that is positive 5 right here. If I see the plus 2 in my equation, the opposite of that is -2, which is what the second part of my center. And then the square root of 49 gives me 7. Okay. So it says, what is the standard equation of a circle with the center 3, 5, and the radius of 6? So again, I just like to stick my h and k under here, stick my r. Again, I think it's just helpful to write the equation. And now if I go ahead and plug in what I know, x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to r squared, and 6 squared is 36. There we go. Then on the next one, it says write the standard equation of a circle with center 1, -3 and passes through the point 2, 2. So the thing here, this is our center, that's our HK, but they did not give us the radius, so we have to actually find out what the radius is. So in this particular case, the only 2 points that we know for sure are the center in this point 2, 2, which in this particular case, it's not a horizontal or vertical line, so I can't just count the distance between these 2 points. I know a lot of times people might look and say, well, over here, maybe I can count that direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it might be something really close to 5, but if I don't know for sure where this circle is hitting, it could be a little bit past that whole number point, so I don't really want to use that. So my 2 choices here would be to use Pythagorean theorem or the distance formula. Okay, if you wanted to use Pythagorean theorem, if you think about, that's not a very good diagonal. If you think about that being the diagonal and this being the horizontal, and that being the vertical, and there's your right angle. Remember, you can count in the horizontal, you can count in the vertical, you just can't count along a diagonal. So if I want to use Pythagorean theorem, then I can see one leg of the right triangle is 1. The other leg is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my hypotenuse is what I don't know, which is actually my radius. So I've got 1 plus 25 is equal to c squared. So I get 26 is equal to c squared. And if I could take the square root of both sides, I get square root of 26. Okay, so again, if you think of square root of 25 as 5, and we kind of eyeballed it as 5, but square root of 26 is a little bit more than 5. So that's why we want to be careful there. If you wanted to use the distance formula instead, then remember the distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So if you wanted to use that formula instead, that would be fine. You could just label one of your points as x1, y1, and the other point as x2, y2. Plug into the formula, and you should still get square root of 26 doing it that way. All right, so now that I know what my radius is, which is square root of 26, and I know what my h and k are, then I can go ahead and write my formula of standard equation of my circle. So again, I'm using the formula x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So x minus h, which is 1, squared plus y minus k, which is negative 3 squared, is equal to r. So this one looks a little different because my radius is square root of 26, and I need to square that. So if I just get this cleaned up a little bit, I end up with x minus 1 squared plus y, the negative gives me positive 3 squared. And then remember, square root of 26 times square root of 26 actually gives me 26. So that's my equation of my circle. And again, to find the radius, they didn't give it to me. I can't just count it, but I could use Pythagorean theorem or the distance formula. Okay. All right, next up is they're wanting us to graph. So it says, what is the center and radius of a circle with the equation x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 25, and then they want us to graph it. So again, the center is going to be what my HK is. So the H is basically the opposite of that number, which is negative 2. And my K is basically the opposite of that number, which is positive 3. And my radius, if I know that r squared is equal to this number, which is 25, then I know that the radius is actually equal to 5. Okay, so if I'm going to graph this, I can graph the center first. So I can go left 2 up 3 and put a point for my center. And then I know if the radius is 5, remember I can count in the horizontal and vertical 5. I just can't count a diagonal. But if I go ahead and go 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so just be careful. This is supposed to be a circle, not a diamond or something. So just try your best to get the circle look going here and not like straight lines. That's not the best looking circle I've ever seen. Oh, I only want to erase part of it, but let's try that one more time. Hey, that one's not bad. So there's our circle. All right, a little bit more here. On examples 5 and 6, this is write standard equations of the circle. So again, if my center is HK and my radius is R, then again, I can plug those into my formula. And my formula is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So I've got x minus h, which is 0, squared, plus y minus k, which is 0, squared, is equal to 4 squared. Okay, so you might, leave the formula like that with the 16 instead of 4 squared. Or you may see it as, since x minus 0 is really just x, you could sometimes see it as x squared plus y squared is equal to 16. So really either of those would work. Okay, on number 6, here's my h, here's my k, there's my radius. Again, this is the formula I'm plugging into. I just think it's helpful to have it at each problem. So if I go ahead and plug in x minus h, which is 1, square that, y minus negative 1 squared, and then square root of 5 squared. So here I've got y minus negative 1, which is the same thing as y plus 1. And then square root of 5 times square root of 5 gives me 5. All right. And last little bit here. So if they want us to find the center, then again, my center is HK. My H is basically the opposite of this number, which is positive 8. And my K is what comes after the Y, but since there's nothing after, not a number right after the Y, then that is 0. And my radius is the square root of 9, which actually ends up being 3. Okay, and then, if it helps you to show work for that, you certainly can do that. Sometimes that helps just not make a careless mistake with it. And then on number 8, my center, again, HK. So opposite of this number is going to be negative 2. Opposite of this number is positive 4. And my radius is going to be actually square root of 7. Because again, if r squared is equal to 7, and I take the square root of each side, then I end up with r is equal to square root of 7. So that's where that is coming from. All right, let me know if you have any questions. That's it for section 12.5.